Hi folks, it's Bob from Mountain Crest Farm, and today is going to be a beautiful hot day. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's supposed to rain this afternoon, but right now it's a beautiful day. And right now it's earlier than it was yesterday. I'm trying to beat all the construction traffic up and down this road. I swear I moved here, I've been here 17 years. Understand, I'm on a private dead-end road, about a mile long, and there's been 9 people living on this road since I lived here. There are now 3 houses being built at the far end of the road, and I'm only about 200-300 yards off of the main road, the paved road, on this little private road, and almost a mile away there's 3 houses being built, which means they're not going to be impacting me, except the traffic, the construction traffic. This place is turned into a freeway. I didn't move out here to find a freeway. I moved out here to get away from freeways. Oh me. But anyway, that's enough complaining about the construction. And I'm really not complaining. Everybody's, the 3 people that are built, it's a family that bought 70 acres and they're building 3 houses back there. Some really nice folks, young folks, 30-ish. An uncle that's about my age, and grandparents that are older than me because they're the uncle's parents. Nice folks, can't complain about them. The main couple, the young couple, he's a cop, she's a nurse. That nurse could come in handy given my history. But anyway, today, I know what I want to talk about. You know, I have told y'all that my channel is not about politics, that I do have a political presence on social media, and I'm not going to tell you where it is. You'll have to find it for yourself if you want to find it. But I've told you that my channel, this channel, is mainly about homesteading until I started doing these little coffee chats. And even now, in the coffee chats, I really try to avoid politics. No, I don't try to avoid politics. Politics are banned from this channel. I won't talk politics. However, I'm either going to have to quit doing these coffee chats or quit watching the news. Because I am a political junkie, okay? I love politics. And I'm a political junkie. And with everything going on now, you don't know how hard it is to not talk politics. But you know what? I don't talk politics, but I had to turn the camera off because I didn't beat all the construction traffic. I beat most of it, I hope, but one dump truck had to come by. But as I was saying, I don't talk politics on this channel, but I will talk government. Politics is what we do every day with the people in office and how they're acting and whether or not they're doing a good job for us. But government, on the other hand, government's about what the politicians have already done to us and what we have to live under unless things were to change. And I will talk government. Today I want to talk about one thing that government's done, that it's done incrementally, that we don't even realize. Because on our day-to-day living, it really doesn't impact us that much. But it does impact us. And that is licensing. I'm not a fan of licensing for anything. Okay? No, I don't even think doctors should be licensed. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, nope. No licenses. Licenses still allow incompetent people to do what they do, and licenses still stop competent people that don't happen to have a whole bunch of letters after their name from doing what they could do well. You know what a license is? Stop and think about it. A license is a right that you used to have, that government took away from you, and now sells back to you for a profit. Stop and think about it. That's what a license is. And it stops some people that can do some things well. Certification goes along with licensing, so I'm going to throw that in because the example you're going to hear also involves certification. But let me give you a couple examples. I don't have gout. Why, I don't know, but I don't have gout. I've had several friends that do have gout, and I can cure gout. Yep. Dumb Bob, the redneck pig farmer, can cure gout. Doctors can't, but I can. I had one friend. He's with county government here. I talked to him one day, and he was at work, and we were talking about something with Pickens County government. And he said, "Well, Bob, I got to go. I got a doctor's appointment." I said, "Roy, what's the matter? You got to go to the doctor." He said, "I got gout, and my left foot is just killing me, and I got to go to the doctor." I said, "Roy, don't waste your money at the doctor. I can cure gout." He said, "No, I've got insurance. I'll go ahead and go." So he went to the doctor, and he only had a copay, $50 copay for a specialist. And doctor gave him a prescription, $25 copay for the prescription. It was about a $300 prescription. So somebody paid $300. And he was supposed to take these pills for a couple weeks and then go back to the doctor for a follow-up, which would have been another $50 office visit, $50 copay for an office visit. He went through all this, and I talked to him after he went to the follow-up. I said, "So, how's that working out for you, taking those pills for your gout?" He said, "That feels a little bit better, but my foot still hurts an awful lot." I said, "Roy, I told you 2 weeks ago, I can cure gout." He said, "What's your solution?" I said, "Go to the local health food store, right down there on Main Street, and talk to Sandy in there, and tell Sandy you need some black cherry juice. Take that black cherry juice home, and every morning, mix it according to the instructions on the label." I said, "I don't use it because I don't have gout. I don't remember exactly how strong, but you can either take a couple spoonfuls, however much it says, or you can mix it with water and drink it. Doesn't taste bad. It's not sweet, but doesn't taste bad. And within a week or two, you won't have gout. Your foot's not going to hurt." Well, Roy was desperate. Roy thought I was full of it, but he was desperate. So he went down to the local health food store, and he talked to Sandy, and he got a bottle of black cherry juice, and he started taking it. Now understand, I call Roy about once a month. Roy doesn't call me. I call Roy about once a month. Well, a couple weeks later, Roy called me. He said, "Bob, my gout's gone." I said, "You're not telling me anything I don't know? If I didn't think it would get rid of your gout, I wouldn't have told you to do it." He said, "It's gone." I said, "Yeah, Roy, it's gone. I can cure gout like I told you." He said, "Well, why don't you tell other people?" I said, "I tell everybody I know that's got gout." I said, I can't charge you $25 for the advice, because that's practicing medicine without a license. Now, that doctor you went to, he's got a license. How much did he charge you?" He said, $50. I said, "No. How much did he charge you?" The insurance company paid a lot of it. He said, "It's about a $200 office visit." I said, "Okay, he can do that because he's got a license to practice medicine." And that pharmacist that filled your prescription, how much was that prescription? He said, "It's $25. I said, "No, you told me it was a $25 copay. It's about a $200 prescription. But your pharmacist has a license. I'm not a licensed pharmacist. I can't give you any drugs. I'm not a licensed doctor. I can't charge you for medical advice because that's practicing medicine without a license. what I can do is tell you to go to the health food store, get a bottle of black cherry juice, and it'll cure your gout. And it did. That's what licensing does, folks. Licensing stops people who can do things from doing them because they don't have a couple of letters behind their name. I can't say I am Bob Hayles, MD. And Bob Hayles, dumb pig farmer, can't charge for medical advice. But Bob Hayles, dumb pig farmer, can cure gout. And all licensing is that way. My sister used to own several hair salons, and she was telling me about some of the requirements for being a licensed to cut hair in the state of Georgia. I'll give you an example in that. Now, you got to have a license to cut hair. You got to be a licensed cosmetologist. Who sits on the cosmetology board and gives out those licenses? People that own chains, like somebody that'll have 50 Great Clips franchises or something like that. That's who sits on the board and decides who gets licenses. And their job is to, in their mind, their job is to prevent competition. And they do. You got to be a licensed cosmetologist to cut hair and charge for it. Now, doesn't matter that some of the things you have to have a cosmetology license for aren't taught in cosmetology school. You want to do pedicures and manicures? There's nothing in cosmetology school that teaches you how to do a pedicure or a manicure. But you have to be a licensed cosmetologist to do pedicures and manicures and charge for it. You work in a shop that has an exclusively white clientele, not because of racism or bigotry, but because black people's hair is dramatically different than white people's hair. And a lot of the things that black people do to their hair involves some pretty hefty chemicals. And most hair salons don't want to pay the extra liability for dealing with those chemicals because they're pretty stout chemicals, and if they get used wrong, people are going to wind up suing you. So most hair salons don't do black people's hair because they don't want to deal with the chemicals. But if you want to do black people's hair, you have to have a cosmetology license. And cosmetology school doesn't teach you a damn thing about using those chemicals correctly. So you go to cosmetology school where you are taught how to cut white people's hair so that you can legally do black people's hair with those chemicals, even though you're not taught how to do it. That's licensing for you, folks. Stop and think about it. Everything that's licensing is a right that you used to have that has been taken away from you and sold back to you for a profit for the government. Government doesn't produce a thing. You just have to ask government's permission. You have to ask the people who produce nothing if you have permission to do something productive. Something wrong there. Fishing. Used to be you take a pole, you go down to the creek and you fish. Not without a fishing license. Didn't used to have to have a license. You had a right to go fish. Now that right's been taken away and sold back to you in the form of a license. Same with hunting. Same with almost everything you do. Every chance the government has to get in your pocket and get some money, they will. And sometimes it's not even about money. I remember it's probably been 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly how long. I've got a terrible, terrible memory. But several years ago, there were some serious wildfires in Texas, out in West Texas. There was a fire that was headed for a small town, and I cannot remember the name of the town. And it was headed for a small town. And the firefighters out there were overwhelmed. I think there were some fires going on in California at the same time, and a lot of the people that go around the country putting out fires were busy in California. But this town in Texas was going to burn. Not a big town, maybe 1,500, 2,000 people. But it's still a town. People still have their whole lives tied up there, and that town was going to burn. So some ranchers up in Oklahoma got together. They left skeleton crews on their ranches, and they got the rest of their hands, and they headed south to Texas. Now you've got to understand, when you're talking about ranchers, you're talking about people that do control burns on their land. You're talking about people that have to deal with fires started by lightning strikes. You're talking about people that know how to fight a fire, okay? You're not talking about Joe up the street that's a mechanic or an architect or an accountant that doesn't have a clue. You're talking about people who fight fire every year on their ranches. They know what they're doing. That's who you're talking about when you're talking about ranchers from Oklahoma heading south to Texas to help out with the fire. Well, guess what happened when they got there? When they got there, they were told, we appreciate the thought and it's nice of you to come down and offer to help, but you're not certified firefighters, so we can't let you do this. We can't let you help out. Traffic this morning isn't as bad, but it's still there. I'll be back in just a second. So these ranchers who fought fire every year, some that they started when they were doing controlled burns, some that they didn't start, that were surprises in the middle of the night when a thunderstorm came along and lightning started a fire. These ranchers weren't allowed to help because they weren't certified by the government to be firefighters. And the town burned. That's government. Now understand, I am not anti-government. I'm not an anarchist. If we didn't have government, we would have anarchy. I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti-cop. I used to be a cop. Ooh, God. 35, 40 years ago, something like that. But I am against government overstepping its bounds. And when you have to ask the government for permission to fight a fire, when you have to ask the government for permission to go fishing, when you have to ask permission from the government to cut somebody's hair when that license they require didn't even teach you how to do it, like black people's hair, government has overstepped its bounds. And I don't like that. There's a little thing called the Constitution. I kind of like the Constitution. The Constitution puts limits, mainly on the federal government, which the federal government steps way beyond on a pretty much regular basis. And it limits what local governments can do and state governments. Constitutional, First Amendment to the Constitution, free speech. It doesn't just stop federal government from stopping you from speaking, it stops state government and local government too. There are limits on what government can do constitutionally, and all governments, right down to your local government, oversteps those bounds on a regular basis. And that just really pisses me off. So, I didn't talk politics because none of that was politics. I did talk government. And I will talk government some. Don't worry, it's not going to be a big part of my videos. But I will talk government some. But right now, while I'm not talking government, I do want to remind you. Number one, no, before I do that, I do want us to tell you, have a fantastic day. And down there at the bottom, somewhere down there, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Give me a thumbs down if you don't like the video. And comment on this one. I'm going to watch the comments real close on this one. You already know I'm not going to talk politics, but now you know I will talk government sometimes. If you don't like it, tell me down there. Tell me to shut up and stay away from government, just like I stay away from politics. Because these videos are for y'all. They're not for me. I know how I feel. Now you know how I feel on that particular part of government. But tell me in the comments, Bob, leave it alone. Or yeah, Bob, give us more. So, thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't like it. Oh, there's a little subscribe button down there somewhere. Bang, hit that subscribe button. Little bell will appear. Hit the bell, you get notifications when I do another video. Now it's time to remind you that number 1, the tomb was empty. And number 2, he is alive. Now y'all go have a fantastic day, because you know that I'm going to. And if I'm going to have a great day, y'all should too. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.